Alright, what is up, guys? It's K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video for you guys today for boxing content for the channel. I wanted to talk about Miss Beautiful, Miss Awesome Lady of the World, Miss Real Deal Evander Holyfield 2.0, coming out of that Puerto Rico, Miss Amanda, the Real Deal Serrano. Oh my god. Let's talk about her. So, Miss Amanda Serrano, she will be fighting this awesome Mexican female fighter that I love myself. Her name is Yamileth Mercado. I wanted to talk about this fight because this fight will be pretty interesting for the featherweight division. Yamileth Mercado decided to take the challenge against Amanda Serrano coming up in August 29th on the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley main event undercard. She'll be the co-main event for that fight. I think this fight will be a good name for Amanda Serrano's career. But as far as this fight goes, I wanted to talk about the fight itself, and I wanted to talk about what Amanda Serrano said in the press conference that made a good point to call out her contemporary Miss Erica Cruz Hernandez, that had a very how should I say, she had a very contradicting statement towards Amanda Serrano leading up to this fight being made. Because for those of you that don't know, Erica Cruz Hernandez recently had beat Jelena Mirjanovic for the featherweight championship for the WBA, as Jelena was, the champion, and she used to be the WBC, and she avoided Amanda Serrano. So Amanda Serrano became, the WBC champion, and she has the WBO belt right now, and I believe she has the IBO as well because she defeated Daniela Romina Bermudez in a ninth round KO stoppage in Puerto Rico to hold 3 belts, as of now. So now she's going to face the beautiful Yamileth Mercado. She comes out of that Mexico. She's 23 years old. She at a Cuidad Coahu. Oh my God, I cannot pronounce that. Cuidad Coahu Temuc, Chihuahua, Mexico. I don't know what that means, but that sounds like an interesting place to live. But she had recently defeated Miss Awesome Angelica Rascon. I like that woman. She's awesome. She was 10-0. She was undefeated, but she recently had lost to Miss Yamileth Mercado. Good fighter. Have nothing against her. She's very talented. I actually, would have thought she would have beat Yamileth, but Yamileth, she defeated her. She did what she had to do. I wasn't so surprised because Yamileth, she is a pressure fighter, and the problem with her is that she gets hit a lot, and I don't really like watching a lot of Mexican female fighters that get hit a lot, because I just kind of feel like it's not worth watching a boxing fight when you see one woman dominating the other woman and then it's like a mismatch. But in this particular issue with Amanda Serrano, I think she's definitely taking a huge risk in facing a woman like Amanda, because Amanda, she's not like your typical just come forward fighter. I personally believe she's as close to, if not next to, Evander Holyfield when it comes to style, technically. I would never say like she's like an actual boxer like Evander. Well, that could be possible. She could be like Evander Holyfield in a way, but when you look at her style and you compare Evander's style to her, I personally use him as a good example of her being a very dangerous boxer puncher. She's a southpaw. She's 5'5". She got a 65.5 arm reach, and she is 41-1, and she has 30 KOs, and she could possibly break the record of having the most knockouts in female boxing history. I think the record to beat is like 32 or 30 something, but Yeah, Amanda, she doesn't come to play. She really comes to knock somebody out, but she can outbox somebody. She has amazing boxing IQ. Uh, Great ring generalship. Great defensive IQ and defensive methodology. She utilizes the ring as her advantage, and she doesn't really let somebody hit her like that. If she knows that she could like walk through your punches, then she'll do it. And I think that's what showed in the Daniela Bermudez fight, which many would say, oh, well, Daniela, she was coming up from 122, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that's true, but she decided to take that risk against Amanda, so it's really not her fault for taking a good opportunity to get knocked out, but she also, thought that she could beat Amanda because Amanda, she had once fought at super bantamweight, but coming up into featherweight, it's a whole nother level. So I think with Yamileth, how she fights, she's not really that good of a defensive fighter. She doesn't know how to fight off her back foot. She uses a lot of unnecessary punches. She can get a little bit dirty at times. Don't really think of her as a dirty fighter. She obviously wants to win, and I mean her record shows that she has like a decent resume. She's only lost 2 times. She lost to Fatuma Zarika. She's a really good fighter, by the way. Lost to her in a split decision victory for the WBC Super Bantamweight title. And then she lost to Miss Jessica Araguin Munoz. She lost in a unanimous decision loss in a WBC Fecum box. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Um, but I mean, she is a good fighter. I have nothing but a lot of respect for her. She's beat some really good names. She beat Karina Fernandez. She's the sister of Diana Fernandez that recently lost to Mariana Juarez's sister, Lourdes Juarez. So she's definitely fought some big names. She fought Alyssa Sanchez, a really good fighter. She recently had fought, I believe, back in December of 2020. Well, yeah, that's actually a pretty long time. But she had been KO'd by Daniela Bermudez in the ninth round. She was down in the eighth and in the ninth, and she got knocked out, unfortunately. But she beat Paulina Cardona, knocked her out in 5 rounds in an 8-rounder. So, I mean, that is a good, decent opponent on her resume, but she also got her loss avenged against Fatuma Zarika in a 10-round unanimous decision. So she did what she had to do, and then she beat Ismael Reyes. That's not much of a name. I'm sorry. She's only 3-5-1, but Julissa Alejandra Guzman, I've seen her fight a couple times. She's a good fighter. She beat her in a UD, and then Angelica Rascon as of recently, back in June of 2021, and then Julissa was back in February of 2021. So yeah, she has been active. She has been doing her thing, and I like watching her fight. She's not a pushover. She definitely likes to pressure a lot of girls on the inside, but she gets hit a lot in the process. So I think how it works with her is that she uses a lot of advantages on the inside with fighters that don't, how should I say, with fighters that don't know how to fight off of their back foot, and she uses a lot of pressure to make fighters continue to be forced against the ropes for her to win. And I mean, she she has like good semi-boxing abilities, and I have nothing to really criticize for her to try to box, but I do have a big criticism for her not having a lot of defense, and she can't use a lot of her boxing IQ in the ring because, one, she's young, and two, she really can't fight off of her back foot, because if she knew how to fight off of her back foot, she can easily utilize her ankles and utilize her speed and agility, um, like most like most fighters would, in order to outbox her opponents or to have the advantage to land bigger shots. Which I don't think she's really that good in using shot selection, because she does throw wild punches at times with opponents that she thinks that she could just outdog and like outwork them. But I think with Amanda, this is going to be the same result with Daniela Bermudez, if not worse, because with her not having a lot of defense in her arsenal, that'll just give Amanda the first signal to take advantage of her off the inside and just break her down spiritually and mentally. And, I have nothing really bad to say about, Yamileth. I think she's a good fighter, but styles make fights, and it always will. So no matter what haters try to say to me, it's nothing against the fighter. I'm being honest to say that when you face a fighter that is a high-level veteran fighter like Amanda, and she knows everything inside that ring more than you, it's just going to show inside the ring come fight night, and you better hope that you either get a good shot or you try to maybe outwork her in a sense where you can win. But I don't see that happening, because Amanda, she doesn't do that. Amanda does not let people hit her like many people think she does. She only gets into that situation when she knows that those punches aren't really hitting her. And, don't get it twisted, Yamileth, she can hit, but her power is really not there. She only hits people when she has the opportunity to outdog someone, in a pressure fight. So I think, with Amanda, she's in for for a really destructive fight, and I think Amanda's going to give her a lot of issues off the outside. And with her being a southpaw, I always agree with the statement, always will. Southpaws run boxing, always have, always will. And I think with Yamileth, if she doesn't make any adjustments in this fight, like use any footwork, use any defensive reflexes, try to get Amanda off guard, to hit her and get her uncomfortable in the fight, then I could easily see Amanda stopping her in less than 7, maybe close to 8 rounds, to say the least. But I think Amanda is a very solid veteran, and Yamileth, she's an up and coming, soon to be, high class fighter, which I think she's already there, and she is not ducking any smoke. She is definitely wanting to take a risk, and a very dangerous, vigilant fighter. And Amanda, the real deal, Holyfield 2.0 Serrano. And I can't wait for this fight, because I like Yamileth's energy. The only thing that I kind of hope that this fight doesn't go to the result of is Yamileth being dirty, because she has a tendency at times to be dirty in a fight, but I don't think she would have any, how should I say, any mindset to go that route, and I hope she doesn't, and I hope that the referee does see that in the fight. But I think Amanda has got a good opponent that she'll most likely take out to put down on her resume if she is victorious. And this will be very interesting, because, Yamileth, she's not no, walk in the park. You have to be a special type of fighter to stop younger up-and-coming fighters, especially if you're a veteran like Amanda. And I think with Amanda's boxing ability and just her ring IQ, it'll show on fight night that Yamileth will be on a completely different level. And I think she'll learn a lot from Amanda. And if she chooses to stay at featherweight or go back down to 122, she'll definitely bring that to her arsenal. And she'll definitely be battle-tested a lot better to give all the other ladies in her original division at 122 a bigger problem or a more difficult puzzle to figure out. But either way, I think Amanda, she's going to give this woman a lot of hands, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when it comes to the later rounds. And I don't think Yamileth will ever see the 7th round, if not probably less, because Amanda, when she catches somebody, it's game over, and she stopped like her last, like four. No, Amanda. Yeah, like Amanda has stopped her last three opponents. So that pretty much shows like what she's about. She's a very dangerous lady, and she's fought some good level competition. She's knocked out Eva Vorberger. She's almost knocked out Heather Hardy, which she's not like the best woman on her resume. But other fighters like Dahayana Santana, that was that Dominican girl that she fought the first time. She stopped her twice in a row. She had recently fought her back in December of 2020. Amanda knocked her out in the first round in a 8-round bout, and she fought Daniela Bermudez as of March of 2021. She knocked her out, and then back in January of 2020, she knocked out Simone De Silva. She's a good fighter as well. She TKO'd her in 3 rounds. So Amanda, she doesn't play around, man. She really gives people the work when she sees opportunities for a knockout. But as far as boxing IQ, you really have to underestimate Amanda Serrano in a certain light to not give her the credit as a very educated boxer. And Amanda, she's definitely at that Evander Holyfield level where if you bring the best out of your punches to her, she's just going to come back at a much different brutality to destroy you and outread you and just outmeasure all the all the advantages that you thought you had, and she'll just turn everything into disadvantages. So she's very good at translating how a fight should go, and she's very intelligent, and I give her nothing but a lot of love and respect. And I give a lot of respect to Yamileth for having the courage and the honor, like many Mexican greats always had, to have a good line of competition in front of them. And I like the Puerto Rico Mexico rivalry. That'll always be like the good, that'll always be like the greatest boxing themes for for rivalry bouts. So I'm very excited to see this fight happen, to see where things go. But let me just finalize to talk about Amanda's I guess recent press conference that she had back in the past on the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley press conference, right? She said that she credited Yamileth for being a true Mexican, for taking the fight against Amanda, and she obviously was using true Mexican towards her because for those of you that don't know, Erica Cruz Hernandez had said in the past that she's willing to fight Amanda Serrano, if she becomes successful in defeating Jelena Mirjanovic. So the issue is that she's not being a woman of her word, and she knows how should I say, she knows what's coming to her, and she knows that Amanda's probably going to want to apply pressure to get that fight made, because I really wish champions could just force themselves to be mandatories to other champions. So that way, if a champion wants to unify the entire division, it makes it so much easier to get all the big fights made, because you can't really duck competition at an all-time high. So I think if she was able to do that, and she was able to have every sanctioning body have a centralized rule base where if a champion wants to fight our champion, we'll order that fight right away, and it makes all the sense to do that, because it's why not? So I mean, there's plenty of good opportunities that we could see out of Amanda's career, and I give her nothing but a lot of love and respect for wanting to be the very first Puerto Rican female fighter. And Puerto Rican altogether to become undisputed. And I just really wish people just gave her shot and opportunity, because she's she's obviously not coming to, fuck around and play games. She's obviously doing her job to be the best and fight the best, and I give her nothing but a lot of love and credit. But for Erica Cruz Hernandez, to hell with her. I don't see how she had all this energy to say that she wanted to fight Amanda, but now when it came to her fighting Jelena and defeating her, she wants to say, "Oh no, I'm not going to look into fighting Amanda." She was going to get $200,000, her biggest payday, to fight Amanda, and I think Amanda was going to get like what, $300,000 to $400,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you guys want to have like the actual information on that, go to Kano Loco Sports. He has a live interview, or he had a live interview with Jordan Maldonado. He is the trainer and manager of Amanda Serrano, and he broke it down very well. He wasn't sugarcoating anything. He was being honest from his own perspective, and it pretty much showed that Erica Cruz, she turned down that offer, and she doesn't want to say anything about it other than just wave her little WBA belt as if she's the queen of boxing, in her division. And yet Amanda, and yet Amanda is still calling out her name till this day. So it just shows that that Erica, she is embarrassing herself, and she's becoming a disgrace for Mexican female boxing, because last time I checked, Mexican females have a lot more balls to challenge all the best girls in their own division, regardless if they're Mexican or not. So I just find it really disappointing, because if this is let's just say, Mariana Juarez or Kenya Enriquez, any of those women that were in Amanda's division saying, "Oh no, I'm not gonna fight her," blah blah blah, I would absolutely flame them. I would flame the living crap out of them. And they know damn well that their whole, their own audience, especially at that level, would completely disrespect them. But it's for a unknown Mexican fighter in Erica Cruz Hernandez, or I'll just say Erica Cruz, just getting her little bit of shine in defeating Jelena, and then she's just gonna be satisfied with just keeping that belt forever. And then what? You're not going to think about unifying your belt, and then whoever beats you next, that's just gonna be the end of your career. Nah, man, get the hell get the hell out of here. It's boxing is a sport where the best always fights the best, and nobody should be basically nobody should be treated with kid gloves in the sport. You come to fight, the toughest opposition, and you should not be given any free passes. If I'm a champion and you're a champion, and we're going to be fighting in a multiple belt era, we should be unifying to have one face, one name, and make sure everything is all unified for one champion. And I think it makes all the sense in the world, because yeah, people will still remember that person for being a former world champion, but it does not mean that just because you lose a undisputed bout with another unified champion does not make you a garbage fighter. It still makes you a very credible name in the sport. And just because you lose your title to a fighter that you thought that you could have beat, or you did not know that fighter could beat you, or you could beat him or her, it still does not make you a bad fighter. It actually makes you into a better fighter. And I think of world titles as just accomplishments. They're just minimal accomplishments, and it doesn't define you as a fighter. It's the man or woman that's holding those belts that defines you as a fighter. And I just think that when you look at Amanda Serrano's career, she doesn't care about, I'm not trying to put words inside her mouth. She doesn't care about who's holding these belts. She just cares about the legacy, and she's doing everything in her power to solidify legacy and say to hell, with these belts. She just wants to come out there and fight. And I give her a lot of love and respect for that, because not a lot of people want to do that. A lot of people just want to hold on to their little legacy, or, they want to hold on to their little hype that they have built around them. And they don't want to be tested to the highest, level, because boxing is like one of the only sports in the world where you can make excuses to not fight contemporaries. And it's like, that doesn't make any damn sense. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want in the sport, but if you're going to make it to the top, you have to be facing all the top, like, yeah, um, all the top names. If you're going to become a world champion, and there's going to be other world champions in your division, if you want to maintain if you want to maintain your championship status, you have to automatically unify, because it makes no goddamn sense that that there's multiple champions in this 4-belt era as of now, but back then there was only one champion, and then it got elevated to 2 champions, and then here we are with like all these nonsensical belts and quote unquote major belts. Like, why not just have one belt for every organization, and then if you win it, then good, you win it. But if you don't win one, then fuck it, you don't win one. If PBC had their UFC type, undisputed belt, everybody would be complaining to say, oh, well, it's just PBC fighters. That doesn't that doesn't determine who's at the best in the world. Well, to a certain degree, yes, but to a certain long-term degree, no. PBC fighters, if they were to fight on their own network, and you had other network fighters to come on to compete at a high level, it would still determine who is better in the world, because all those fighters that think that they are better would naturally come out to other competing agencies or fight leagues, I would say, and then you could have it at a world title level where it's determined by who is coming out to fight the better end competition. So I think at the end of the day, boxing should be set where everybody has to fight everybody, and you cannot duck any competition to solidify your own legacy to be watered down or to be mid-tier or high-tier. If you're going to be good in the sport, you have to fight every tough opponent. There's no way around it. It does not happen like that in the UFC. It doesn't happen like that in college wrestling, to say the least. Boxing's like the only sport where you could you can potentially duck your greatest competition. And I find that to be absolutely retarded, and that should never be, allowed, because you're wasting everyone's time and effort to want to see all these big fights. And if a champion is is in competition with another champion in the same division, then that champion should force themselves to become a mandatory to that champion. And if that champion turns down the offer, or the champion that is a mandatory, or the challenger itself doesn't want to fight you, then fuck it. Take that person's status away, and then give it to somebody else that's next in line behind that person, or soon to be in front of them, to fight for that world title. But that's pretty much what I have to say. Much love and respect to the Queen of Puerto Rico, Miss Amanda, the real deal Evander Holyfield 2.0 Serrano. Much love to you, Queen. You are the greatest woman on earth, and she is definitely the GOAT number 2, next to Clarissa Shields. Definitely top 2 pound for pound, if not top 3. But I'll definitely have Clarissa and Amanda definitely at the top 1 and 2 spots for pound. But yeah, hopefully Amanda, she could definitely get her shots that she wants at 126, and if that doesn't work out, definitely try to revisit the Katie Taylor fight, if she could take her out of the way so she could easily get undisputed, and then after that maybe go back down to 126 to defeat Erica. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, promoters don't want to give her the opportunity for her to shine. And Amanda, she's a higher risk, low reward type of fighter. And this fight with Yamileth Mercado will show how good of a fighter she is, that she's going to present herself to a lot of these young up and coming ladies that are going to try to make that attempt to rise to the top. But that's pretty much what I have to say. Let me know what you guys think about it. This is Kieran Rodriguez, aka KRAT7435, signing out, and I'll see y'all later. Long live Puerto Rico. I'm out.